Every chess player has wondered at least once how a game between him and a grandmaster would go. Today, I'll show you what would happen, more or less. The reason why I chose Fabiano Caruana to be the first one of this format is because we have a connection. He is half Italian, I'm full Italian. We both play chess with the slight difference that I'm rated 1300 or something around there. And he is one of the best chess players in the world. In this game, Fabiano is playing against a player who is high 1100. The opponent started playing with, guess what? e4, followed by e6, knight f3. This is a French defense. d5, takes, d4, knight f6, hoping maybe that Fabiano would have done something like this. But instead, of course, he put the bishop in front of the king. Bishop g5 with the idea of taking this knight, and then you have to take with this pawn, and then your position is already falling apart. And then you cannot castle on the king's side anymore, because then the king is without any defender in front of him. That is a smart move, but then we have to remember that white is playing against one of the best players in the world. And Fabiano castles, and now the bishop is free from the pin and can take back. That is what happens. Queen d3, because he saw that after his move, rook on e8 comes with check, but then bishop e2 and c5 with the idea, this actually happens, that if pawn takes, you go straight for the rook. Knight g5 is just a blunder because on the very next move you can go anyway to take that rook, whatever happens. So queen takes, and with this move we can understand that even grandmasters like free material. h4 is a threat, but at the same time it's not, because you just go and take another pawn. But instead Fabiano did queen c1, forcing the queen back and exchanging, denying now the opportunity for the white king to castle. And then with all the calm in the world, notice for how many moves that bishop has been there, just chilling, don't worrying about life, staying there waiting for him to take the rook. That demonstrates that when that happens, it's just a loss of a rook. And notice how many things happened before that bishop fulfilled his life purpose. For 5 moves, he's been there just waiting. So be extremely cautious and careful when the bishops are on the grand diagonal, because that means death for the rook in most cases. Let's move forward. Rook e1, knight c6, knight c3, and that is the second knight that gets given as a gift to the opponent in this game. At this point, our friend against Fabiano Caruana decided to resign, because now the bishop goes out and then the other rook comes, or maybe something like this and then this. So a tsunami of material would have arrived soon. In this second game, Fabiano is playing with white. The opponent is slightly higher rated, but that doesn't change anything, of course. Fabiano starts with e4 and the opponent goes with c5, going into one of the hardest openings that exist. It's like playing a boxing match and punching yourself in the face. Knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6 takes, Caruana castles, d5 follows, d3, bishop g4, pinning the knight to the queen. Hoping for a blunder from Fabiano maybe, but I think that if a grandmaster does something like this, just wants to resign and give up with his chess career and never play chess again. Obviously this doesn't happen, h3 instead happens, and now you have 3 choices, actually 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4 on all this diagonal here, here or here. Which is the wrong move here? Exactly. Bishop h5. And what black does? Bishop h5. Now you see, after this pawn push eventually, the bishop is trapped forever here. But white instead went with knight on d2, knight f3, rook e1, e6, rotating this knight with the idea most probably of going here and getting ready after the king castles for an attack. But again, this doesn't happen. Takes, queen exchange. because I think it's the right thing to do when you're playing against a grandmaster, is to get the situation as simple as possible, of course if you know the end games, otherwise you're just dead anyway. Knight takes, g4, bishop goes back, knight e5, rook c8, bishop f4, bishop e7, knight e3. You see, this knight is parked here, waiting, just chilling as I said before, waiting to take this bishop whenever he wants. Maybe waiting for a better moment or a better position to make this move even more effective. h5 follows, and this is the right moment to take, because now you double your opponent's pawn and you do not help him by freeing the rook, because when you have the pawns like this, you would prefer to take with the h pawn in order to free the rook's column. So after this cannot happen anymore, you take, he takes back, knight c4, takes, rook h4, f3 pawn to defend the other pawn, knight g5 with the idea here, check, bishop takes again, knight d6 with a fork, king d7, and you see, here, personally, I would have just taken the rook and sacrificed my knight. And maybe this is the main difference between me, a common mortal, and these elite chess players, which respond to the name of grandmasters. They can change their route, their course of action, because they see something juiciest. And that is so sudden, especially when we are talking about a game that is 3 minutes long. Here the best move that gets played is knight on e4, giving a discovered check, and then you can take the bishop with knight. And here the opponent decided to resign.